Hello, everybody. My name is Connie-Lee Bennett, and I am absolutely delighted to be connecting with you today because we've got a wonderful, inspiring woman called Lena Giffoni who's going to be talking to us about relationships and about empowering ourselves as women, but of course as men, to create relationships where we feel inspired and we create a space where we fall in love with ourselves and fall in love with our partners. And it's going to be a truly amazing interview. I'm so excited, Lena. We are honored, my tribe, on behalf of my tribe. We thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed by me today. It's my honor. We connected in Paris a few weeks ago now? And I just absolutely fell in love with you straight away. You have a beautiful soul. So welcome on behalf of me and my tribe. Welcome. And thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie, for inviting me, and meeting you was such a delight. It was a divine appointment.
Yes.
I'm so glad to be here, and I would love to share everything that I've learned on my journey to better my relationships. And then I studied how to help people in my life first to better their relationships. And now I'm helping my clients around the world, which is an amazing privilege and honor.
Wow. So you're an incredible soul. And one of the things I really love about you is you're also a spiritual being and you believe in the idea of divine connection. So apart from being a spiritual being, maybe let's start with, because I always ask the question, there's two questions. Who are you and what do you do? Because I feel that these are two very different questions. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit first about who you are and what you do.
I'm a woman who loves her connection with God and other people. Early on, I found out that relationships were extremely important to me. I thought that I failed at many, and I was on a search to find out how to do relationships right. And then I figured out that all relationships are right at different stages of my life. So I am a seeker. I love my connection with God. And I love my connections with God, with other people. And it led me to become a life coach. I was a mathematician for many years. I have a scientific brain. But so I use that scientific approach to learning about relationship and find out, are there any formulas? Are there any rules that could be applied to relationship to better them? And it turned out that there are. And I am delighted that I discovered them, and I love sharing them with others.
Wow.
And as a life coach, I help women mostly to reconnect with their selves, reconnect with God, and to rediscover their courage and find their purpose in life and seek it and be strong again. And be on a path to beautiful, fulfilling, and joyful lives.
Wow. Okay. So, that's that I think is something that we all want really deep within us, is a more fulfilled life, more fulfilled relationships, that inner confidence. You mentioned a little bit about how you have found some formulas and rules. And I'm really hoping that you would share that with us today. Like what in your view are some of the, let's start maybe with what are some of the things that people prevent them from creating that inner confidence? What are some of the problems that you found most women you treat as a life you coach, you support? What are some of their biggest issues that you've been finding?
Thank you for asking. I mentioned rules, but there's part of me who is against those rules that we live by, right? When women lose their freedom, and men, we lose that sense of freedom as we grow older. Imagine a little child. She is at the playground and she's so free, and oh, be my friend, let's play together. And she is uninhibited, and then she is at home, goes in her closet, and if she is blessed to have a lot of clothing in her closet, like so many girls in the Western world do have, maybe she has a princess dress and she feels like putting it on today. And I want to put on a tiara too. And I just want to march outside and do that. And a couple of times I would see girls like that here in the United States. They would go to the mall with their mothers and their princess dresses and tiara. But mothers wouldn't do that. Adults wouldn't feel as free to put on whatever they want. They're not confident in expressing themselves any way they want. So as we grow older, we lose part of that freedom, and rediscovering freedom and rediscovering who you are and what you really want to do and how you want to express yourself is a quest. And often when we grow up, we put so many layers and rules on our lives. And it's connected with our parents first. And then it's connected with how we're raised. Maybe there were rules at the school you attended, or maybe there are such strict rules at the church you attended that you are restricted on so many levels that you don't know who you are anymore. And discovering who you are is by asking the right questions, and journaling is one of the best ways to peel all those layers, to rediscover yourself. Because in relationships, there is this one category that is the most important one, is relationship with yourself. And for me, it's relationship with your creator. And the spirituality of this connection, who am I, why am I here, but without fear, asking those questions without fear, without trying to do it right, but in peace and love. Who am I? Why am I here? And why do I do things the way I do them? Why do I react at people in my life the way I do? Is it my voice, or is it the voice of my mother, let's say, or my father? It's a beautiful process, and I love helping women who come to me to peel off those layers and discover beautiful selves that they're created to be. And after that, you can talk about all the relationships that are on the surface, which is, what are my relationship with the spouse? What are my relationship with children, if I have them? With my parents, either they're alive or deceased. How about siblings, friends, co-workers, even relationship with money? All those are the relationships that they are important, but first you discover who you are. And I'm so glad that you are doing that work with your clients and your tribe, your listeners. It's amazing. So the tip is basically, if you're by yourself, you can start journaling and asking those questions. Who am I? And do it daily, and write a gratitude journal. I am thankful for this quality in my life, and how can I figure things out? When you ask and pray about it and you seek, you shall receive. There are other things that I can share with you about personal relationships, but relationship with self and relationship with God is where it all sprouts from.
This is really interesting, and I'm going to ask you a question, and then we'll unmute the people who are listening, and then they can ask you a question as well. So if you're listening and you've got a question, please feel free to either put it in the chat box, or I'm going to unmute you in a moment. I think that what's beautiful is that a lot of us are now awakening. I work with a lot of people who are beginning to to awaken to the concept of a relationship with a higher being, a relationship with themselves. And what's very interesting is I also use the analogy of the onion quite a lot, and peeling off the layers. Now, what's very interesting for me is that although I am aware and although I'm divinely connected, there are still parts of me. You were talking a little bit about the fear, like asking the question, going there without fear. And there are still parts of me that maybe aren't consciously scared, but are unconsciously, because there are still those blocks. Does that make sense to you? So sometimes we want to go there. We want to find out, like, what is limiting us in our relationships, what is limiting us from living in freedom. But we look and we look and we look, but sometimes the layers are so deep that it's hard for us to see, okay, well, who am I? You know, what, there's sometimes we can't. Like, what
like
advice
blindfolded.
Yeah, we're blindfolded. You know, what advice would you give us for the people listening? You know, we want to go deeper. We're open. I have my journal. My tribe knows I've always got my journal handy, and I'm writing, and I'm open, and I want to connect with myself. I want to connect with God more. I want to rediscover, but I'm blocked.
We talked before, and I shared that I became a Christian life coach. I was raised in the Soviet Union, and which means I was raised atheist. There was no God, only Communist Party. And I was always a seeker. I read numerous books. When you look on my bookshelves, I have volumes and volumes of different philosophers at different times. I question myself as a mathematician, right? The one who seeks so many things in truth. I started reading the Bible because my question was, why is this book so popular? Why is it like the bestseller of all times? I was not raised with rules and restrictions for the religion. So I was looking for that connection with the one who created me. And it's very interesting because this book, which has beautiful wisdom in it, it says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. When I was struggling with panic attacks and anxiety and fear and worry and overthinking, I was pondering that question. Why do I have this fear? Why do I go back and shiver and I don't want to move forward? What I learned, when we have that fear, we're given the power to overcome it. When I believe that all the power is in me, I don't know about you, but I feel disempowered. Mm-hmm. I feel like I am I'm a creation. But if I'm connected with a creator who has all the power, he gives me the power to do things that seems humanly impossible. Like overcoming fear, like finding my purpose in life, like finding those relationships that are divine appointments. I can just go and look for people with whom I connect, and I may succeed. But when I'm asking for divine guidance, I find people like you. Mm-hmm. I know that it was a divine connection because of how it worked out. Mm-hmm. When overcoming fear is, again, asking for the divine power to shine through you and learning how to dance with fear, how to face it first, and then how to dance with your fears. So the key for me is not to believe that I am all powerful in my own strength, but that power is given to me because I am created the way I am, and there is a divine guidance available for me at all times. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, divine guidance available at all times. And I think this is so important because step number one in my 7-step Thrive healing process is trust. Trusting yourself, trusting God, trusting your heart, trusting your body, trusting the people around you are meant to be in your life to teach you specific things. For me, I echo what you're saying. It's so important that we start with this foundation of trust. If we listen, if we go in, if we calm ourselves, if we connect, then we will get that divine guidance that you were talking about. That divine guidance is available all the time. It's just those layers make it difficult for us to hear.
Yes, because those layers are based on fear. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. So step number 2 for me is awareness. So honing in on awareness. Now, what advice would you give us on how we can become aware of what is keeping us stuck? What is keeping us trapped and not living in freedom?
Awareness, I would say, from the perspective of relationships.
Yes.
What is that awareness that I don't live in freedom in regards to relationships in my life? I can be aware that I can create any kind of mood or emotion in my body at any given time. That power is given to me. When I shift to that awareness that nobody is responsible for my moods, nobody is responsible for how I feel, but it's only in me. I can focus on good emotions and good feelings, and I can create it. And then I will look at another person in my life and I would see them as another human being with their pains, with their hurts. I remove myself from being the center of relationship. I am aware that if a relationship is between two people, there is this dynamic and it's a beautiful dance. And the other person has his or her own feelings and emotions. And I am not responsible to make them feel in a certain way. I can love them. And it goes about any kind of relationship, be it with your parents, be it with your spouse, be it with your friends or co-workers. It's beautiful energy between you two. When you're aware of that they're on their own path and you are just here to love them and influence them in some way, then you can create beautiful relationships.
Can you tell us a little bit more? I really like this concept of we are not the center of relationships, but we are a partnering dance. We're a dance partner in the relationship. So when we see ourselves, if I'm hearing you correctly, when we see ourselves at the center, we think that we're responsible for everything, we have to take everything on, that the world is revolving around us, and it is easier for us to fall into victim consciousness, and it's easier for things to fall in, easier for us to get pushed down, versus being in that flow of more of a dance type of relationship.
Yes, we often grow to become very codependent.
Yes.
Because human baby, infant, is dependent on other people to survive. And we learn that we're dependent on our parents to survive. And our parents, even if we're blessed to have loving, caring parents, and we had both of them as we were growing up, they sure messed us up in some way because they didn't know better.
Yeah.
They did it out of love, out of their own survival. And many girls grow up to be caregivers to everybody around them. And they have this mentality that they have to parent their children, parents, spouses, and they lose the sense of being a playful, beautiful feminine. And when you don't focus on yourself and maybe even focus on your partner, if it's a romantic relationship, it will do you a lot of good. I'm not talking about being totally submissive. If it's abusive relationship, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about partnership, but sometimes we're trying to pull the blanket on each other, right? So to speak.
Yeah.
But when you can evolve to focusing on needs of another person and willing to help your partner to uncover their rules and desires, and maybe together learn where they come from. You unearth that, you find the root of what your rules are. You focus on your rules and your partner's rules, and in love you figure out what creates that conflict, because so often our rules are the ones that are bumping heads, but we think it's us.
Sure.
And when you focus on love that brought you together, and when you argue, it's not about you, and maybe not even about the other person, it's about the hurts that are buried deep inside. When you uncover that, you can put it out in the light, and you can replace it with something totally beautiful. You can figure out which rules are not serving you anymore.
Sure.
You can release them, and then you can focus on each other in love.
I really like that saying, letting go of that which no longer serves you. That's really beautiful. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Let go of that which no longer serves you. And that's really powerful because, you know, in today's video in the online academy, I was talking about how things evolve and things change. And what you're saying over here is that when we let go of something that no longer serves us, it once served us.
Absolutely. You were in survival mode at some time in the past, and it did serve you, but now it's holding you back.
Yeah. And I love that. It's like, it once served me, so I'm in gratitude and I honor it and I thank it and I accept it, which is step number 3. But you know what? I now am ready to let it go, which is step number 4. You know, letting go of that which no longer serves me. And it's such a beautiful saying. Now, let's say, for example, you're in a relationship and you think, okay, well, let's connect and let's find out what each other's needs are, what those core values are, and honor that. How do we know what no longer serves us in this relationship? So you met, you fell in love, and it was all working, and you were in alignment. But now, how do we know and identify what is no longer in alignment in our relationship in terms of our rules, but also sometimes in terms of our souls? Like if we complete a karmic contract, then we no longer have to be with the person. Our soul has learned that lesson. So it's twofold, Lena. It's like, okay, the soul is now no longer serving us this lesson, we've learned it, but also the rule is no longer serving us. So how do we know when we need to continue in love and when we need to figure out whether it's time to leave, accept, change, or move on? You know that saying.
Yes. But I think that when you are connected in love, it can be worked out, but sometimes one or both partners, they're not willing for some reason. And that brings me back to your statement that we don't want to face those fears. We don't want to face pain because it's painful. And we are created that we would do anything possible to avoid pain.
Yeah.
Even versus gaining pleasure, right?
Sure.
So the pleasure of beautiful relationships sounds like a good idea, but right now I don't really want to go into that pain in the past. So no, we're not discussing it. And there's so many women who tell me that about their partners, their spouses, that men they don't want to go into this realm of pain and what were the pathways that brought them to where they are now. They don't want to go in fear because there is masculine and feminine energy. And some women have more masculine energy than men. But in the masculine energy, you want to be seen as strong and powerful. You don't want to admit your weaknesses. The way to address it is through communication, very open communication and love, and creating a safe place for sharing. And sometimes, as you know, couples need relationship specialists to help them to pull out and to ask the right questions at the right time, to help them to figure out what were those rules and what were those events usually in early childhood that affected you for life. And so often we don't realize it. More often than not, we don't know why we behave in a certain way, why we react a certain way to some triggers, unless we go really far back and understand, oh, this what happened when I was 4 years old. I was left alone in this room with my young siblings to take care of him or her. That's why I am behaving this way now at the age of 45. Sure. So yes, it is a difficult process. If it was easy, everybody would have an amazing, beautiful, thriving relationship, and we wouldn't have all the counselors. All the counselors and family therapists and coaches will be out of job. Which I would love if that could happen. Yeah. And we can contribute by educating and helping people to rediscover the joy in relationships as much as we can. But people need to listen and willing to learn and unearth the painful events. But for the couple, even for friendships, both need to go there, be willing to go there and figure things out.
So do you feel like going there is essential? So uncovering a past origin of that original belief system is important? Or can you just recreate with your thoughts in the present moment a new space?
This is my belief, that it is important, and that's mathematician in me talking, to replace old beliefs with new ones. You need to be aware of the old beliefs that are harming you. If you don't figure it out, you can put yet another layer, onion peel if you wish, on top of it, instead of peeling that onion and finding what's inside.
So let's say we've peeled the onion layer and we've thrown it away, so we've released it. So the next step is step 5, which is inventing. So how do we invent a new safe space, a new space of love in our relationship, where we feel we can authentically express ourselves, where we can dance in love, where we can create a magical, empowering relationship? How can we invent that?
For me, it starts with prayer. It's when you ask for guidance in wisdom, and you can talk about already existing relationship or creating a new one. When you went through all these 5 steps, it may seem, and it is easier to create new relationship, maybe call in the one, invite that new beautiful person in your life. But what if you are already in a relationship and let's say your partner or spouse is not 100% willing to change and go there, and you went through all this 5-step process, then the question arises, am I to stay or am I to leave? And does that make sense?
Yes.
When you are in already existing relationship, and this a lot of people come with this question: I am growing, I am learning so much, especially women, but men as well, and my spouse doesn't want to grow or doesn't know how. I don't know how to communicate. For every particular couple, it may be slightly different, but again, the partner who is not willing to change, you cannot say that many things in your own strength to change that person. But I've seen answer to prayers again and again and again. You ask for wisdom, and then you have this divine download, what to say and how to do and restore a relationship. Many people get into a relationship in the first place and they think, oh, this and this are good, and this and this I can change. But of course we cannot change anyone, but people change as they grow, as they mature. We can ask for guidance, how we can help them and assist them. And that's why communication is so important, and loving communication, because when you are growing and you see that your partner, spouse is not growing, you can get resentful and you can get prideful, because look at me, I am learning, I am growing, and you are stagnant and you are not doing anything that you should be doing. And it's very easy to go back into arguing, bickering, and anger, resentment. And that's not what we want to experience in relationship. So your growth is what is in you and between you and God, and another person's growth is between that person and God. It's again, you're not responsible for that person's growth, but you learn how to speak in love, not in anger. And the interesting book came my way, and it's called Conscious Uncoupling. But Catherine Woodward Thomas, and I met with her a couple weeks back, and it was very interesting because her first book that is well known is oh my gosh, I'm blanking all of a sudden, Calling in the One. And the second one that she wrote years later is Conscious Uncoupling. There's sometimes people grow out of love. Am I 100% for it? No. I think that we can pray for reunion, for wisdom, for communication. And if you believe that you were brought together for a reason by God to grow together and to influence each other, when you take your ego out, because often I want to leave because I'm not getting everything that I want in this relationship, but asking, why are we brought together? How can we love each other and influence each other? Taking my pride out, taking my ego out, and leaving the love. Not self-sacrifice in the way that I put all my needs on hold and I'm just serving this person, but asking yourself daily, writing in your journal daily, how can I improve this relationship? How can I love this person? How can I help this person to address his hurts or her hurts? And maybe we can find somebody who can help us. Maybe this person will be open for it.
I think this is the greatest gift we can give anyone, is providing that space for somebody else to go within, uncover who they are, connect with their truth, and have that person do the same thing for you, so that both of you are just fully expressing yourselves with love. I think that would be a beautiful, beautiful space.
Yes, and we are different creatures. I know that God brought my husband and I together, and we've been together for close to 20 years. And we come from different worlds, different backgrounds, but we are united in love. and we're growing together, and we speak love and wisdom into each other. And sometimes we're tempted to argue, and we do argue, but then you stop and think, I just realized that I was in reaction to this person's pain or whatever that is. It's not about me. How can I love this person? And it's beautiful.
Wow. That's awesome. And it leads to step 6, which is vibrancy. And vibrancy to me means many things. One is vibrancy and passion for life, but also the vibration and the vibration of love. And I think it's very important, once you've invented that, you then begin to live in that vibration. So start to take steps of love, like you were saying. Start to take steps where you're supporting your partner, and also start to take steps of gratitude. You were talking about, writing, getting a gratitude journal, and just bringing back fun and magic into the relationship.
Fun is so important. Fun in relationship, especially romantic relationship, it's crucial. It's there are couples who have been interviewed who've been married for 50 years plus, and many of the happy couples still kiss and touch and laugh together. It is important to embrace each other daily. Maybe create a ritual when you run towards each other, like, look, you haven't seen each other for a year, right? If you travel a lot, something that is crazy, but it's fun. And you can agree on something that works for both of you, but fun is not just the word. Fun is action. And make it physical, make it embrace, make it hold hands, make it a date night once a week where you really embrace and hold each other, and make it an appointment. If you realize that after days and maybe weeks it's not happening, you need to be aware of that and make it a must, because your most important relationship need to be addressed first. It's not other people's demands on your life. It's what makes your heart sing.
Yeah.
And make it a non-negotiable. And make your commitment to live in that space of love a non-negotiable. If you remind yourself of that, if that's a decision, it will happen. There's so many women who are business women and who are amazing, brilliant. They make their business the priority and not their relationship. And you worked with women like that. But they know how to make decisions. They know how to be brilliant in their field of expertise. They can have their relationship as their field of expertise as well.
This is really important, because step 7 is expanding and emancipating. And this is where the daily action comes into play. In order to truly live in freedom, it's the things that we do every single day. And it's being conscious that you are putting your relationship first. You're committing to being 100% committed to making it work, to putting your partner first, to going within, but doing it daily. And like you were saying, taking the actions. So this is my last question to you before I hand over to the guys that are listening. What advice would you give us to daily expand and emancipate in our relationships?
I start my day, I try to start it every day with gratitude. And I start with my most important relationships. I don't start with my business, because business doesn't grow if you don't put conscious effort in it. It doesn't just happen. The same with relationship. So you need to create your daily rituals. What feels the best for you, but how can I complement this person in my life, let's say 3 times today,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
do it for a month.
Mm.
You can start doing tons of things. You can put a laundry list and try to go through it. It will be all good. But if you're busy, just start with that.
Yeah.
How can I compliment and address what I love about this person today 3 times, and do it every day for a month, and see what happens to your relationship.
Wow. When I laughed when you said the laundry list, because here's my journal, my business journal, and there's like lists in like lots of lists, and I thought to myself, where's my list for my partner? I don't have a list for my partner. And it's so interesting what we prioritize and where we find our worth. We think, okay, well, my business is very important to me. I need to do X, Y, and Z, and da, 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 da. But isn't your relationship important? Isn't it important to have a list for them? This is so interesting.
One more thing I want to say is their honeymoon effect. I can address it later, maybe next time. But there is also a disaster mindset. What if you only have 1 week to be with this person before the end of the earth? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? How are you going to love this person? And that is a mindset.
Wow, that's powerful. Can you say that one more time so we can really sink it in?
We're living in a scary world sometimes, and this may be a good visual. If you imagine that you only have 1 week left on this earth, how are you going to love your partner and those people in your life? Are you going to still be upset what they said or they didn't do a month ago? Or are you going to focus on love?
Wow. You are absolutely amazing, Lena. Thank you so much for your time. I've written an entire page of notes, and you've really awoken some things in me. So thank you for that beautiful blessing.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I think since you started talking about your website and stuff, if of course, a lot of people are going to be watching this on the replay. Do you have any others? We've got your website here. It's www.joyliciousliving.com. I absolutely love that. Can people contact you straight on your website? Do you have Facebook? Do you have an email?
Oh, I just realized that the spelling is off on the banner. So we're going to make a correction. So yes, we're going to make a correction. Make sure that you can find me if you like what I said and want any further information. But
I'll change it.
I work mostly with women. I'm a life coach, and I help rebuild courage, restore relationship, and move towards beautiful, joyful living, especially for women transplants, because I know firsthand how challenging it can be when you move to a different city or different state if you're in the United States, different region, or to a different country half across the world. It has a unique set of challenges, but they all can be addressed and overcome.
Wow, that's awesome. And I haven't asked you this yet, but do you have maybe a little something special that you might like to offer my tribe? Maybe have a beautiful ebook that you can give us, or you have a great mailing list that we can subscribe to get all of your great stuff?
Thank you for this question. I did create a workbook, which is in PDF. It's downloadable, and it addresses 7 steps to overcome stress in your relationship. So I put this together, and you can find it on the website, and we'll type in the address correctly.
Sure.
But I also have a website, lenagiffoni.com, which has a link to it as well.
Wonderful.
So if you look for lenagiffoni.com, it's spelled here, and you can sign up and you will get your book.
Wonderful. Well, what we'll do is we'll put all of those links in the when we post the replay. So Lena, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And you've been an absolute inspiration to me and to my tribe. So if you were just to complete with maybe one last bit of advice or one last thing to just to complete the interview, one last bit of advice on how we can step into creating magical relationships.
Focus on love. Don't think that anybody else is responsible for your feelings and your emotions. It's between you and your creator.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, Lena. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, everyone who's been listening as well.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening.
Awesome. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.